Imagine this. You're a new recruit, fresh-faced and full of bravado, stepping into the mess hall of one of the most elite military training facilities in the world. You and your buddies are feeling pretty tough, ready to take on anything. Then you spot her. A woman sitting alone, seemingly out of place among the hardened figures around her. You think, what's she doing here? That's the exact thought that crossed the minds of 4 cocky recruits one fateful afternoon. They saw what they thought was an easy target, a chance to assert their dominance. They didn't see the quiet confidence in her eyes, the steel in her posture, or the years of unimaginable training etched into her very being. They saw a woman. They should have seen a warrior. The 4 recruits swaggered over, their shadows falling over her table. The clatter of trays and the low hum of conversation in the mess hall seemed to fade into the background. They exchanged smug glances, thinking this would be a bit of fun. One of them leaned in, his voice dripping with condescension. "Lost, little lady. This isn't the place for you." She didn't even look up from her meal, just took another calm, measured bite. This only fueled their arrogance. Another one chimed in. "Yeah, maybe you should be back in an office somewhere, pushing pencils." They circled her table, hemming her in, trying to intimidate her with their size and numbers. They were loud, obnoxious, and utterly clueless. They had just made the biggest mistake of their very short military careers. They had decided to mess with a Navy SEAL. She slowly placed her fork down, the soft clink against the ceramic plate echoing in the sudden silence that had fallen around their table. She finally looked up, her gaze sweeping over each of them, cold and analytical. It wasn't a look of fear or anger, but of assessment. It was the look of a predator sizing up its prey. "I think," she said, her voice calm and even, yet carrying an authority that sent a shiver down their spines, "that you're the ones who are lost." The air crackled with tension. For the first time, a flicker of doubt appeared in the recruits' eyes. They had expected tears or timid retreat, not this unwavering, ice-cold defiance. The leader of the group tried to recover, puffing out his chest. "Oh yeah, and who's going to make us leave?" he sneered. She simply smiled, a slow, dangerous curve of her lips. "I am," she replied. What happened next was a blur of motion, a masterclass in efficiency and control. Before the first recruit could even process her words, she was on her feet. In one fluid movement, she sidestepped his clumsy grab, used his own momentum against him, and had him face down on the floor with his arm twisted behind his back. He yelped in surprise and pain. The second recruit lunged, and she met him with a precise strike to a pressure point in his neck. His eyes rolled back, and he crumpled like a sack of potatoes. The third and fourth recruits froze, their jaws agape, their bravado vanishing like smoke. They weren't facing a little lady. They were facing a force of nature. She hadn't even broken a sweat. The entire confrontation, from the moment she stood up to the moment the 2 remaining recruits were staring in disbelief, took less than 45 seconds. The mess hall was dead silent. Every eye was fixed on the scene. The 2 remaining recruits stood paralyzed, their faces pale with shock and a newfound respect, or rather, fear. She released the first recruit, who scrambled away, clutching his arm. She gave a pointed look to the other 2. "Are we going to have a problem?" she asked, her voice still unnervingly calm. They shook their heads frantically, mumbling apologies as they practically tripped over each other to help their dazed friend and retreat. As they scurried away, a senior officer, a grizzled Master Chief who had seen it all, walked over. He hadn't interfered. He had simply watched with a knowing glint in his eye. He looked at the woman, then at the retreating recruits. "Well, Lieutenant," he said, a hint of a smile playing on his lips, "I guess orientation is over." She just nodded, straightened her uniform, and sat back down to finish her meal as if nothing had happened. The quiet returned to the mess hall, but it was a different kind of quiet now. It was filled with awe and respect. The whispers that started were not of ridicule, but of wonder. Who is she? The answer spread through the ranks like wildfire. She wasn't just a lieutenant. She was one of the first women to ever pass the grueling training and become a Navy SEAL. She had endured Hell Week, faced challenges that broke the strongest of men, and emerged as one of the most lethal and disciplined operators in the entire U.S. military. Those 4 recruits didn't just get put in their place, they received a vital lesson. They learned that strength isn't about gender, size, or loud words. It's about skill, discipline, and the warrior spirit within. This story isn't just about a mess hall confrontation. It's a testament to the breaking of barriers and the shattering of stereotypes. Think about the sheer willpower and determination required for any person to become a Navy SEAL. The training is designed to push individuals to their absolute physical and mental limits, and then far beyond. For a woman to enter that historically male-dominated arena, she faces not only the same brutal challenges but also an extra layer of scrutiny, doubt, and prejudice. She has to be not just as good, but better. She has to prove herself at every single turn, not just to her instructors, but to her peers. Every success is a victory against the odds, a crack in the glass ceiling of what people believe is possible. Her quiet confidence wasn't arrogance. It was earned in the freezing surf, the suffocating mud, and the relentless exhaustion of Bud S training. The recruit's mistake was a common one. They judged a book by its cover. They saw a woman and made a whole host of assumptions based on outdated stereotypes. They failed to see the individual, the operator, the leader standing before them. Her response was perfect. It was not needlessly violent, but controlled, swift, and decisive. She didn't set out to humiliate them, but to neutralize a threat and teach a lesson. It was a demonstration of the core principles of a SEAL: quiet professionalism, efficiency, and the ability to handle any situation with minimal fuss. She didn't need to shout or boast. Her actions spoke volumes, echoing a truth that the military and the world are slowly but surely learning. Courage, skill, and leadership know no gender. That day, the entire training base learned something. The legend of the female lieutenant who took down 4 recruits in under a minute became a part of the base as folklore. For the male recruits, it was a wake-up call to leave their preconceived notions at the door. For the women who would follow in her footsteps, she became a symbol of possibility, a trailblazer who proved that the path was there for anyone with the grit to walk it. She showed everyone that the most dangerous person in the room isn't always the biggest or the loudest. Sometimes it's the one sitting quietly, observing and waiting, possessing a set of skills you can't even begin to comprehend. So, the next time you're quick to judge someone based on appearances, remember this story. Remember the 4 recruits who saw a woman and the Navy SEAL who taught them to see a warrior. It's a powerful reminder that strength comes in all forms, and true confidence is quiet, earned through hardship and proven through action. Thanks for watching and listening to this incredible story. If you were as inspired as I was, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more content just like this. Let me know in the comments what you think about this amazing display of skill and professionalism. Until next time, stay strong and never judge a book by its cover.